Channeling raw emotions through music videos, award-winning writer-director Charlotte Regan keeps the tempo through the world of cinema. Scrapper follows a grieving child thrust into adulthood and a father in over his head. Scrapper is in select Australian cinemas September 14. Charlotte, thank you so much and welcome to the For Your Reference podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.
Having you holding us, like there was a lot of feelings in this film, and I'm very excited to talk about Scrapper, especially Lola as well. But I kind of want to start off with music videos, and I guess the nature of the music videos that you were making. Did the journey of capturing music videos to directing a feature film feel like a natural sort of progression for you?
I don't know. Like, I think I found, like, even with this film,
Yeah.
like, we did some press the other day and everyone was like, how was it directing Harrison? And I was like, oh, like, with music videos, you like stand on a rooftop with like 50, rappers like stood there up, like not wanting to act. And you're like, please guys, could you just look a bit happier after the video? And they're like, what, bruv? So once I feel like it's a great
you gotta be
environment.
rapping, you know? You gotta stay staunch in these streets.
Keep that moody face. Yeah. You've got to keep the fingers in ideal pointing position.
Yeah.
So Paris is very, very chill in comparison and very willing to.
And you've worked with Harrison before, right?
Yeah. We'd worked together on a short back in the day, a slightly dodgy short that we don't talk about, but yeah.
Okay, yeah. That's like, it's the Voldemort. It's the Voldy. We don't talk about it. Yeah. It's a bit of a question that's a bit unexpected, so I might leave it for later in the interview. But there's a lot of music video turned feature film directors that I just want you to percolate and have a little think about later on in the interview. But it's so cool to understand your context. And I guess coming into that context, you talk about Scrapper being a joyful story about working class worlds, right? So you're on an estate, it's set in the estate. I'm from Western Sydney, so I'm all the way in the other place. But even watching the film, I'm like, I've seen Georgia before. I've seen Ali before. I've also seen Jason before. I've dodged him. But the world felt so real. And I guess because we are talking about class, there are definitely sort of like similarities as well. What was it like being able to, I guess, stay true to your own experiences that, there's the hashtag struggle, but there's a lot of joy as well?
Yeah. It was always the most important thing to us when we were kind of developing the story is like working class people are allowed to be like joyful and they're allowed to be funny. If anything, like hardship, I find breeds more humor than anything. Like dark humor is kind of my favorite brand of humor, innit? So I just didn't want them to be defined by their hardships or their trauma. I wanted them to be defined by like who they are, like what they love, like what they enjoy doing, their beliefs, like, and that came from everything from the cinematography to the production design to just like letting people, exist in that joy, I hope.
Yeah, and I think it's kind of like that test of like when you meet new people and you make a joke that maybe is a bit too far, I'm like, oh, you're not my people. You just like, you don't get it.
Yeah. No, it is the ideal like dark humor setting in it where you drop a dark joke and you're like, oh no, like
And I think it's also one of those things of like, it isn't until like later in life, if you can afford therapy, if you have great people in your life, if you can enjoy little luxuries where you're like, oh shit, like I've been through it. Like I continue to be through it. But like as a kid, you're just out and you're living.
Yeah, proper. The world you're in is the best world possible. Do you know what I mean? You don't like think, oh, I have less than other people. It's actually only when like, it's like you say, it's only like when I came into the film industry and then I met so many middle class people that I was like, oh God, my upbringing was a bit different, isn't it? Because these lot are talking about a different kind of upbringing to what I know. But so I can never decide if it's like were our upbringings like harder, or is it the lens of this like middle class perspective that is, like making it feel that way? Do you know what I mean? And the judgment of being
Yeah.
in these spaces that we feel like we don't belong.
Speaking of people that you've met throughout the filmmaking world, shout outs to Molly, the DOP for the
Yeah,
film.
icon. Yeah.
Yeah. In a Wachowski Matrix sort of timeline, I did have a chance to speak to her about how to have sex, but this will actually come out before that, I think. But it's so good to be able to meet you, and she seemed great. You seem great. Like, it must be such a great sort of creative space to be in.
Yeah. Molly is one of my best friends in the world, and we were friends before we started working together, which I think you don't get with many collaborators. And it's like incredible. Like I think her film is like fucking incredible. Like, and she
Yeah.
is an incredible, like, just creative. She can do any role and she can smash it. Do you know what I mean? But it's amazing, kind of doing the journey side by side. Like, oh, just text her whenever, or she'll text me when we're experiencing something, and we often find it's something both of us have had to navigate at some time, and it's incredible having a friend who you can talk to about that, for sure.
Oh, that's great. Well, I guess let's go back to Scrapper. I want to talk a little bit about the tone of the film, and I think that comes to what we've already been talking about as well. I think because I guess we had Georgia as the center, I was expecting it to be a bit more like, I guess what I'm trying to say is there were some scenes that were more of like a slow burn, or were like they just let the scene sort of simmer into the next sort of scene, which was really cool because you can sort of build that sort of dynamic between Jason and Georgia. But I guess when you were working on the film, how did you decide on what the tone would be?
I think it came to us slightly when we set out to do like a joyful working class film, and
Mhm.
just like naturally the tone I love in films is like films like The God, or films like Taika's film Boy and stuff like that,
I
or
was
like,
thinking Hunt for the Wilder People as well, and boy, when I was watching this, yeah.
yeah. He just balances tone so cool, and he's like so down to like take risks, and and even if those risks are sometimes flawed. And I think me and my producer Theo always said we'd rather make like a flawed film that takes risks over like a perfectly packaged film that
Yeah,
doesn't
yeah,
do
yeah.
anything different, I guess. Yeah. So it came from that, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like a living and breathing sort of energy. One of the core sort of themes that were explored in the film, it was more just an underscoring as opposed to being like the core sort of piece, but grief is explored through this film. And inshallah stories about grief are really my thing. Like, I just really enjoy those sorts of films. And I think, through the last few years, all of us have been through some sort of loss. And I know this is a joyful film and it is about a young girl as well, but what was it like channeling something as heavy and also as connecting as grief in Scrapper?
Yeah, no, it was quite magic, really. Like, when I was writing early on, I lost like my dad and my nan, and I
Sorry
actually
about that.
found like, sorry, looking into like how kids deal with grief and children's books was actually helping me to cope with it more than I was reading so many books about it, but like written by adults, obviously. And I just find that adults tend to like make it like an academic subject, like,
Yeah.
or make grief like something logical, and it's not,
No.
it like it can't be defined or put in a box. And
Yeah.
I think the kids stuff I was reading was more willing to see that, and to like be present, and to just be like, your emotion might be this today and it might be this tomorrow, and that's just like life. And I
We're
kind of found,
laughing, we're crying, we're
yeah,
feeling
exactly.
everything.
Yeah, that was a much better approach. I feel like with everything in life, grief included, we could always all do with being a bit more like kids, or a bit more connected to who we were as kids, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. It was so great to explore, I guess, the dynamic between Jason and Georgia, in that it wasn't like, oh, we don't want him here, or maybe we want him here. Like, I feel like, for myself anyway, watching the film, I felt the way Georgia felt. I was like, I'm not sure about you, but I'm okay. Let's see how this goes.
Yeah, which was very much like what was happening with Lola and Harris as well. Like Lola is a very suspicious person.
Yeah.
So she was like, I think I like Harris, but you know, he's got to win me over. He's got to grow on me, you know. So it was great that like their relationship was, because we filmed semi chronologically, obviously not always totally, it's not possible, but so it was mimicking like what was actually
Mm.
happening. So it was lovely when we got to the end, like where they dance in the hangar is the last scene we filmed, and that was when they were at like the peak of their friendship, and they'd grown over the 6 weeks. So it was great that it was like happening in real time as well. Yeah.
Yeah, the train station scene was my favorite one in particular. Was that an easy one to was that an ad-libby sort of scene, or was it all pretty scripted of narrating over that couple?
Yeah, a bit of both for sure. Like Lola is naturally a heavy improver, so she loves to improv,
Yeah, her
and I
audition tape, right?
she's insane. She can just talk rubbish for hours. Honestly, she really
Yeah.
can. It's incredible. So a lot of that we workshopped that scene. That was the scene we went through the most, like when
Mhm.
her and Harris first met in particular. And she brought incredible ideas to it, and so did Harris. They're probably responsible for like most of the good dialogue in the film, I'd say. Yeah.
It's such a great insular film, and you just fall in love with everyone. Something that I really loved as well was I don't want to spoil anything, but I guess just the sense of imagination. And we really get to that sort of build up throughout the film as well. Were you one of the kids that had like a really big imagination growing up?
No, I don't think so. I was pretty, yeah, that didn't have much. I read loads of fantasy books. Like I was obsessed with the Harry
Yeah.
Potter's, the Lord of the Rings of the world, but I couldn't create my own stories at all. Yeah, no.
Yeah. Well, that's a thing, right? Because it's like you told me there's a dragon on the page, and I'm like, bet. But I'm like, people are imagining things, and I'm like, I
Yeah,
don't see it.
that's it. Yeah.
I think it's that struggle, It's just like we take it for what it is. If you tell us what it
Yeah.
is, that's what it is.
It's,
Do you have any sort of favorite music video turned filmmakers?
I was trying to think of some. I'll go quite recent, I guess. I love AV Rockwell's film. And what was that film called? 1001. And I feel
Oh,
like,
yes.
yeah, that was a beautiful
Gotta say, oh
film.
yeah.
And I've seen music videos from AV. And then Savannah's film Earth Mama.
Oh
I love
yeah.
that. And I love some of her short form work back in the day as well. It was incredible. And then we had like it was like banging the perfect cinema film we had over here, like Rye Lane.
Okay.
And the director came up like with like commercials, music
Uh-huh.
videos, that kind of stuff. So that was one. How about you? What's your top
This,
three?
but
What you
this is
said?
like straight off the dome. Are you sure you're not a rapper? You just had it all locked and loaded.
No. What are you saying? Who's some of your gems that have gone to film?
I always talk about the most iconic opening scene in all cinema, and it is Hype Williams' Belly with DMX and
Yeah.
Nas. It's just
Yes.
gorgeous.
Yeah.
It's effortless and it's
Yeah.
great, but I'm making it about my film stuff, so we'll continue. But I just like it's just a gorgeous, like it feels like a whole music video, but it makes sense to the
Yeah.
narrative.
Yeah, fair.
Um, but yeah, maybe there'll be like a belly adjacent in the States. Who knows?
Totally. Yeah.
I want to talk a little bit about the Sundance Ignite program, if that's okay, just
Of
for
course, yeah.
budding sort of filmmakers and creatives out there.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it is like this incredible space. Like being a part of Sundance in any way is
Mm.
just sick. Like they are legends and the community is incredible. But the Ignite program in particular, like you got to, I can't remember how many it was. I feel like there were 12 of us from around the world, like who were at similar stages in our careers. And just that in itself, like the same thing I'm talking about having Molly as a mate, like meeting people that are at a similar stage to you. We
Yeah.
all still speak to each other to this day. And that was over 5 years ago that we met, and we're
Yeah.
across different countries or whatever. Um, and then you get given like incredible mentors, and just like you only have to ask Sundance to like try and introduce you to someone and they'll be down to try it, you know, if they know the person, they're willing to help, you know. And still to this day, like that was a 1-year scheme, and I still feel like they are a massive like part of my career, and you can give them a shout if there's like something you want to ask. And yeah, it's just sick. It's sick to meet so many mates that are making films and feel so inspired. And then obviously getting the free Sundance tickets and flights banging, because who else at that age can afford to like, yeah, go to the accommodation is spenny at Sundance. So that was a pretty mad experience as well. Yeah.
Well, that's what dreams are made of, right?
It's 100%. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But I honestly feel like that's the best way to make films. It's not that the traditional route of filmmaking is a bad thing, but it's more if you have the experience and if you have stories to tell, you find your way to make the film, as opposed to being there and being like, give me your story. Give me your story. I'm going to tell all of your stories.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. Yeah, yeah.
In regards to the film, there were some really cute sort of moments with Ali and especially the mum being like, "Where's your uncle? I've never met your uncle." Like all of those sort of things that just felt so natural to, I guess, the working class sort of environment. Is that like the stuff in the script and like building the character sort of interactions? Was that something that was pretty much easy to do?
Yeah, like I don't know, Theo, my producer, was a big part of that, and just the cast do it, you know, like we just had such a sick cast that were like would take my awkwardly written scenes and run with them, you know, with a worse cast. I don't know if worse is a word, but we're gonna run with it. It would have been much dodgier. So yeah, we didn't think about it too much. They felt like characters we knew and recognized, and we always grounded ourselves in that. As long as these characters feel real and feel like people we've met in these worlds, and we're not kind of going too far into fiction, then it's calm. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite sort of scene that you shot throughout the film?
Oh, I'm mad. I don't get mad into this. I hate watching the film. Lola says her favorite is the train station, and I'm happy to follow Lola's lead. I'll take that one as well. If that's her favorite, it's mine as well. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think that's a good answer as well. How is it being involved from end to end in regards to the film, writing, directing, editing as well? Like, how is it being involved throughout the whole process?
No, it was magic, you know, like that's kind of one of the things I love most about film is like the change of pace and the change of people. Like you go from pre-production where it's like loads of talking about things and these fictional ideas that you can't envision properly, and then you're on a shoot and it's like chaos, and then you're in an edit with like one person and you just sat there chilling, like having bougie salads for lunch, and it's like the change of pace and the different environments you get to be in. I don't feel like many other jobs kind of offer you that kind of like varied structure. I get like super bored like really easy. Maybe that makes me a boring person, but I'm mad with like I can't, even in the edit I have to be given like Lego sets to build or a drawing to do, because I can't just sit there. So Molly is exactly the same, weirdly. She's obsessed with Lego. So yeah, film is great for like, yeah, just like the stimulation of like different people and different environments is amazing.
Yeah, well, you talked about Theo. Well, what's that working relationship about? We love a shout out. I also love how just very naturally you're bringing your people in, you're bringing your team in, you're giving them a shout out. I want to hear more about your sort of working together on Scrapper with Theo and also other projects as well.
Yeah, Theo is like one of my favorite humans in the world by far. I've actually moved into a new flat and he lives 2 roads away from me. So definitely a big part of my move was like Theo's nearby. I can like hit up Theo if I'm in crisis, you know, like you worry when you live alone that you'll wake up in crisis, and I'm like, Theo will be there. Yeah, he's one of my best friends. Me, him and Molly were very much like a trio of like we would sit together on nights off and talk about the film, or just not talk about the film but just hang out together, you know. And we still do. We used to do like, we'd call them family cinema nights with the 3 of us.
Love it.
Theo would pick something super arty, and me and Molly would be, let's just go and see this Marvel film and this banger.
Like these buildings about systemic oppression and all of that.
Yeah, he's all about the films that stick with you for the weekend, isn't it? As where me and Molly are all about the mad joyful ones. So yeah, he's incredible, and he's incredible with script. He's great with cast. You know, he's just the perfect kind of like partner through work. Yeah.
It's a gorgeous balance, and it really comes through in the film as well. I'd like to wrap up with our final question. We finish our reviews with a recommendation. So what would you pair with Scrapper as a double feature?
Whenever anyone asks this, because it gets spoke about so much, all I can ever think is After Sun, because like
I still need to see that.
Oh, it's a banger. It's an absolute banger. Yeah. It's sick. So I'm gonna say After Sun because it is what like some of my favorite reviews are. Like I think my mum found one on Letterboxd, and I was like, I love the bad reviews. If I'm feeling good, they like bring me mad joy, and my mum loves them as well. And like my favorite one yet was this Charlotte is the worser of the two Charlottes. The other Charlotte who made After Sun is a much. And I'm like, that is a poster quote, bruv. Like, picture house. Everyone should put that. That's a poster vibe. So
as a fellow reviewer / critic in my dark little damp corner of the world, reviewing is weird. It's a weird space, but if you enjoy it, then that's okay. But it's a weird place.
Yeah, you have to have an opinion, and you can't like win everyone over. And so I'd say 100% After Sun. Because we get compared to it all the time, which is the biggest compliment, because it's like an incredible film. Like, you've got to see it. Is like floors you emotionally and has some of the most amazing performances. It's like one of the most confident first features I've ever seen, for sure. It's beautiful.
Well, don't tell anyone, but you can tell everyone that you're my favorite Charlotte. Thank you so much. Double feature of After Sun and Scrapper. Thank you, Charlotte. It was so great to meet you.
Thank you. You too. Have a good day.
Cheers.